Welcome to the Daily Agenda. It's been a momentous day, according to Rupert Lowe. Again, in fact, these centre-right people seem to be claiming an awful lot of momentous days recently, without there actually being anything of momentous worth or value involved in any of them, in my opinion. So the latest momentous day is 1.2 million deportations instead of Operation Scatter. Now, what's not to like? Some people will say, millions will say the same thing. Well, first of all, Restore Britain is not a political party, it's a press group which seeks to influence other groups like Reform UK and Advance UK, the centre-right's two Tory insurance companies, or favourite insurance companies, sound-alikes anyway. And the actual policy itself, I would say, is written by Harrison Pitt. Quite a likeable chap in actual fact, but did Harrison write that document detailing the 1.2 million deportations actually believing this was tenable or acceptable? I suggest you, the devil's in the detail, they say. It always is. These people are obsessed with Christ, God, God-forsaken land, Satan and the devil. So why not use their lexicon? And against them, that is. I'm not siding with them. But yes, it's certainly hidden in the detail, without a doubt. And it's a very interesting document. I would advise everyone to read it. It's about half the size of a book, industry standard book. And it's certainly well worth reading. Some people might not want to read it, don't have time or just not interested, etc. But anyone in the nationalist field should read it to be informed as to what we're actually up against with these centre-right people, so-called. And most of them are actually centre-left flaggists, centre-left flag groups, for want of a better description. And so I read the document today, particularly the one that most interests me, of course, was the withdrawal from the UN Refugee Convention, 1951 in particular, and all other subsequent amendments and agreements. What I noticed whilst reading it was Farage has postulated some theory that they'll disapply this law, disapply the law for 5 years, the lifetime of a parliament, by which time he'll be out on his backside, one would presume, and the great flood can start all over again. Doesn't that really just tie in with what I've said about the safety valve operation? Disapply for 5 years. What is that actually supposed to achieve? What can be done in 5 years? When in actual fact all he's proposing to do is 600,000 deportations, which won't happen for all the reasons I've explained in the previous videos on this subject last week. So what's the point of disapplying UN refugee convention laws for 5 years, and how would he do it? How would he overcome the obstacles in the cause, massive obstacles, particularly with the liberal left judiciary, the activist judges, and the vast majority of them are? That in itself is not a solution of any description. There has to be direct confrontation with this utterly corrupt, biased judiciary. That is not serving the national or the public interest in any capacity. Farage has no willingness, no backbone to do that at all. So going back to Restore Britain's version of the... they just doubled it. It's not 600,000, it's 1.2 million. So it sounds better, doesn't it? It's the exact double of Farage's latest proposal of 600,000. Oh, well, Restore Britain, they want to give us 1.2 million. But when you actually examine it quite closely, it doesn't even eat into the Boris wave. Won't go anywhere near the Blair wave. And I've been told this week by at least 3 dozen of these centre-right groupies supporting these different Tory factions that they're British citizens. the Boris wave and the Blair wave. How they ever come to the conclusion that the Boris wave, 1.2 million of which were granted an amnesty because they were here illegally, are British citizens, just beggars belief, does it not? It also demonstrates the fact that these Tory factions, because that's all they are, it's just a Tory party splintered into different factions with egos that just can't get on with one another, namely Farage, Lowe, Habib. You've got three kingpins who all want to be king. Farage, of course, believes himself to be the Messiah, the Monty Python Messiah, as I said in the debate last night with Daz Pierce. And yes, that's the only messianic energy you'll ever encounter where Farage is concerned. I don't believe in a Messiah, you know that. No, but there's never been a Messiah in the whole of history. I'll make that perfectly clear. There's never been one, there never will be one, and nobody needs one. It's all hanging around on a wing and a prayer, millennium after millennium, waiting for the never never to come and save you. Nonsense. The only thing that's going to save you, or save us, is us. We're going to save ourselves, aren't we? Right, so let's forget all this messianic nonsense, because that's all it is. It's the type of thing, you know, children by the time they're 4 years old should stop believing in. Quite frankly, it's nonsense. I mean, I never actually believed in it anyway. I was always puzzled by it. I thought, what is this nonsense? And why are they keep teaching us this history from Israel when I'm English? And this is England. And I don't want to know about Israel's history. Arabs, etc. I want to know about my own history, my own culture. Even at that age, that's what I thought. And frequently got into trouble at school for saying such things. And that's good, I'm glad. I've always been outspoken. And I'm outspoken in this context as well, because this 1.2 million deportation plan, which can't be actualised because, as I said, Restore Britain is not a political party, it's a pressure group. They're not going to pressure fake Farage into adopting the 1.2 million, although you never know, because Farage just sits back and waits for other people to move the Overton window slightly in that direction or that direction, left or right. It's goodbye Farage. That's right, left or right, doesn't matter, left or right. That's wherever Farage goes. Wherever the populism is swinging, that's where Farage is at. You know, he's just a willow tree. Back and forth in the wind, no substance, no strong bough whatsoever, no stability. It's just courting a little vote here and a bigger vote there and a smaller vote there. And so this is the point behind this so-called deportation plan, because whilst there are some sensible things in it, such as the proposal to just repeal all legislation tied into the UN Refugee Convention, which I've always been in favour of and said this over many years, at the same time, they completely contradict all of this by saying they want to agree upon a new migration system, a new migration compact. So these people aren't opposed to migration in the slightest. It's just that they don't like the current migration system because it's not working, according to them, and they want to create a system that actually works. So whenever people say, oh, you know, this is remigration, it most definitely is not remigration. Remigration is a nationalist concept devised by nationalists to create white supermajorities in all white nations. It has absolutely nothing to do with the centre-right. The centre-right is just the imitation game. Con artists, fakes, liars, cheats, con men. That's right, typical Tories, one might argue. Yes, typical Tories. And, businessmen. Tory business interests. And this actual document, it goes further to say that they want to stop claimants from anywhere else other than neighbouring countries. And one of the neighbouring countries they list as is France. Yes, you know where the vast majority of the boat invaders are coming from? So technically speaking, even after pulling out of the ECHR, yes, you're about to hear the sheer pointlessness of this entire plan and that entire organisation, Restore Britain and Reform UK and Advance UK, because they're all figments of the same imagination, quite frankly, the Tory imagination, the dream world that the Tories live in, that they've foisted upon this country and the extensive damage that they've done of an existential nature. Yes, so they leave the ECHR, they either disapply UN Refugee Convention laws, which is a untenable nightmare, an absolute minefield, or they repeal the laws completely and then enact new laws allowing another flood to come into the country, but one which is not quite so optically bad. And that's all it is. The entire document is about optics. Optically, what's happening in the English Channel looks terrible. It's absolutely awful. And there's great opposition to it. Whereas in truth, the real problem is the legal immigration coming into the country at over 1 million a year. Yes, that is the cause of balkanisation, not illegal immigration coming across the English Channel. So these people, they don't actually want to stop immigration at all. They certainly don't want to control it. They want to renegotiate it. They want to reshape it, rebrand it, and refocus it so that it's an acceptable form of immigration to them. And it's simply a case of probably dragging out another 10 to 15 years in which immigration, mass immigration, will continue. The document is completely duplicitous, quite frankly. And Harrison Pitt and the other authors who scribed it, quite frankly, must know the extent of this nonsense that they've written. Actually, it is very well written nonsense, but it's still nonsense, because it's not tenable, any of it. None of it is tenable, and absolutely nothing in this document remotely resembles remigration. Not one thing at all. Deportations and remigration are mutually exclusive issues. This is a deportation document whereby they want to get rid of 1.2 million, but they don't actually specify what type of people they want to get rid of at all. And want to kick out of the country. I mean, the very obvious thing is they want to deport the illegals, but there aren't 1.2 million of them. There are actually 1.2 million illegals here given an amnesty by the disgusting traitor Boris Johnson, who must inevitably one day stand trial under the Treason Felony Act for conspiring with a foreign power contrary to the national interest, to destroy the national interest permanently, that is. That's my position on Boris Johnson. He's not a Brexiteer. He was always a closet Remainer, a globalist, puppet of the WEF. That's all he is. And so this document, in truth, doesn't actually deliver Britain from this God-forsaken land, as Harrison Pitt puts it. It simply maintains the God-forsaken land that he envisaged this country has become. And that's how I see it very clearly. Because there is no intention to stop immigration at all. He just simply says we need a breather. Which is a variation on the theme of what I've proposed in terms of a 10-year moratorium on which all immigration, both legal and illegal, is stopped completely. And should there be a market shortfall in the economy, we can rely on variable residency rules with the European Union, with European member states, some of which will also be independent by that time as well, because the EU is starting to disintegrate. It will become ever more tyrannical as it disintegrates, but it will disintegrate fully. Yes, absolutely. Just like the Soviet Union on which it's based. And so that's in essence what they're talking about. It's, I could put it, it's a pig in a poke. It's like taking an apple and peeling the skin off it and saying, yes, this apple needed to be skinned, and now it's been skinned, all the infection's been taken off it, and it's a beautiful, wonderful, healthy apple. You take one bite into it and it's just riddled with maggots and rottenness. That's what this policy is, quite frankly. Put simply, that's what it is. So go and read the document for yourself. And they'll deny it, of course. They can't admit to the time of day, these people, quite frankly. Not that I actually care. I'm here to analyse what they're doing, and that's why I run this channel, to give you the benefit of knowing what they're up to. And the document stipulates quite clearly that they, to summarise, they want to get rid of 1.2 million. They don't specify how or why and who exactly, apart from the illegals. We know that's quite obvious. And they don't intend to eat into the Boris wave or the Blair wave. They're just British citizens, according to them. Work that one out if you can. It's just a million miles away from remigration and nationalism, isn't it? Does it even smack of true conservatism? Well, yes, I suppose it does smack of true conservatism, which is treachery, isn't it? Treason, par excellence. That's what conservatism is. And they want to renegotiate a new migration system on a world basis. Actually read the document. They want to renegotiate a new migration system with international cooperation so that the flood will continue, but it will be a different type of flood, and it won't be so optically bad. There won't be, scores of dinghies coming across the English Channel alarming people, but you, the people of this country, the nativists, will be replaced nonetheless. And this is what I've said about the entire centre-right and the entire racket of treason and deception all of these people are involved in. I accuse Ben Habib, Nigel Farage, Rupert Lowe and all of their lackeys of treason. Openly accuse them of treason. If I ever had my hands on the levers of power, I'd have every single one of them indicted under the Treason Felony Act for producing documents of this very nature that maintain the destruction of this country and the nativists. If you don't believe me, go away and read the document. I urge you to read that document. You should, in actual fact. If we get our way, it's a damning piece of evidence to use at the trial of these people. It really is that bad. It's astonishingly transparent what these people are planning, and it should not surprise anyone. Because they're all controlled opposition, and I'm never going to be. Nobody controls my mouth, as I'm sure you've seen many times on this channel and on other channels as well, and I will continue to bring you the truth, and if they don't like it, well, that's just tough, isn't it? I hope you enjoyed tonight's show, and thank you for tuning in. See you tomorrow.